the only thing I know how to do to.
It's often, it often does the job.
Yeah, that's what the IT guys tell you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, well, now that you're here, Annie, would you do a little roll call?
Most certainly. I have myself, Annie Cathy, Adrian Beck, Andrew Chorney, Chris Lounsbury, Deshane Barnett, Dylan Jacks, Eric Dixon, Aaron Schraber, Jason Emery, Jordan Lyons, Kelly McGuire, Kiki Consento, Kyla Leonards, Lori Heyer, Melissa Fisher, Nancy Rittell, Sarah Heidman, Sarah Bell, Shane Stack, Dave Bell. We have Josh, no last name is a guest, Juanita Vero. We have MCAT, and we have Tina Reinick. And that is it. Did we miss anybody out there? Okay, I'll let you guys take it away. Thank you.
Great, thank you. All right, do we have any public comment on items not on the agenda? All right, seeing none, we'll dive right into our action items. The first one is a proclamation around Crime Victim Advocates and Social Workers Appreciation Day. Juan, what do you want to give this a read?
I actually can't pull it up, so.
Oh, okay. Then I will do it. Oh shoot!
Okay.
I just lost it. I had it and it went away. My gosh.
Comedy of errors here.
Oh
Sorry.
my! It was right there, and then one click, and it got zapped into the ether. Okay, I'll try. I'll keep clicking. Hang on here.
Maybe staff could read it for you.
Oh, there we go. I got it. Oh, except I can't move it. Jeez. Kyla, would you be kind enough to read this?
Sure, I can read it on the screen here.
Thank you very much. Sorry to ask you to do something with no prior notice.
Violet, can you scroll up just a little bit so I can get the first part? There we go. So Missoula City and County of Montana, whereas the effects of abuse and violent crimes such as domestic violence, sexual violence, and stalking cross all social and economic lines and affect people of all ages and genders and erode the fabric of our community, and whereas dedicated victim advocates at the Missoula City County Community Justice Department, the Missoula YWCA, the University of Montana Student Advocacy Resource Center, St. Patrick's Hospital First Step Resource Center, and victim witness coordinators at Missoula County and City Attorney offices provide support, information, and continuum of care for victims of crime and their families. And whereas in the past year, the YWCA Pathways program provided services to more than 1,300 survivors of interpersonal violence, and crime victim advocate program served 1,750 survivors. The Student Advocacy Resource Center provided services to 228 survivors, and First Step served over 400 clients. And whereas Missoula community members get involved by recognizing and supporting the people and programs that provide safety, healing, and help for survivors of relationship violence, listening, speaking up, and expecting respect, and challenging those who joke about insult or try to dehumanize others, supporting legislation and pledging never to commit, condone, or remain silent about relationship violence. Now, therefore, we, John Engen, Mayor of the City of Missoula, and the Missoula Board of County Commissioners, do hereby jointly proclaim October 21st, 2021 as Crime Victim Advocates and Social Workers Appreciation Day. Yeah. And we urge all citizens to actively participate in local activities, programs to work toward the elimination of relationship violence.
Great. Thanks a lot, Kyla.
Thank you so much, Kyla.
Okay, our next presenter is Sarah Heineman.
Hi, good morning, everybody. This is an amendment to our regular immunization services task order through DPHHS. It's for $1,117,957. It is targeted towards additional COVID immunization services on top of our regular immunization task order that things we already have to continue to do. And so we're looking at ways that we would be able to use this money and implement creative outreach and other things that could impact our current clinic, plus supplement our vaccine branch out at Lucky. So Deshane and I are talking about some different ideas, and we'll put good use of this money towards vaccine outreach within our community. So just asking to approve the amendment.
So glad this is happening. Montana does not need to be #1 anymore.
Not in this regard, no.
I totally agree. I motion that the board approve and chair sign Amendment 1 to Montana DPHHS Immunization Task Force.
Aye. Aye. Thanks.
Awesome. Thank you.
Nancy.
Good morning, commissioners. And hey, I am not monopolizing the agenda today. I have one item for you today, and it has to do to request the board approve a contract with Homeward to provide support from the Community Assistance Fund for the landlord liaison position to help the landlords with eviction prevention. And this would run for the fiscal year in an amount not to exceed $43,093.
Great. Thank you. I move that the board approve the contract with Homeward for the landlord liaison position.
Wonderful. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Nancy. And thanks for shepherding this one along. It took a bunch of negotiating and redefining, and we really appreciate your persistence with it.
Oh, thank you for your involvement. And thanks to Homeward. Yeah. All right. Bye.
Thanks. Lori.
Good morning, commissioners. Hey. I have more bylaws for
everybody. Yeah, bylaws.
I know. So I had sent each of the community councils the approved bylaw template from earlier this year. And so both Lolo and East Missoula have had the opportunity to review the template at a meeting and decide if they need to make changes and whatnot. Both councils followed the updated template with no significant changes or edits. So both councils have approved and are now asking for your approval.
What was there? We had an all community council meeting last night. Josh, can you remind me what happened with East Missoula's? I think Lee Bridges had some questions about. They had a resignation and they were trying to get someone to.
Right. Yeah, actually, you have a better memory of it than I do.
I'm just gonna punt to Kyla. Kyla, do you remember?
Sure, commissioners. So the bylaws went to East Community Council, and someone resigned, so they just didn't sign the bylaws. They had a resignation from Doug Coombs. So he just didn't sign that because he's no longer a member of the council.
Okay, so this doesn't affect anything, though.
No, it should not affect anything.
Okay. Yeah, great.
Well,
and we can hear that Bert Caldwell gets his hard copy.
Yep. Bert's going to get the hard copy.
Yes.
So, Lori, do you want to do number 5 as well? And we'll just take them together.
Yes, that would be great. So number 5 is the Food Policy Advisory Board bylaws. So the original template that they were basing their new bylaws off of were from the Parks and Trails Advisory Board. The bylaws were originally written when the board was first created in early 2020. But the board knew that they'd be doing some strategic planning later in the year and wanted to wait to finalize their bylaws until they had a chance to look at the bylaws again after they got their strategic planning results. So basically the biggest thing for the Food Policy Advisory Board bylaws that kind of varies from the regular board and committee bylaws that you've seen is the Article 7, which has to do with the staffing. And basically, county staff functions and is an administrative capacity only. So doing the notes, sending out agenda, meeting logistics, things like that, where CFAC staff is functioning more in the professional capacity, providing the technical support, identifying topics of interest, providing research services, as well as assisting with the board chair in developing the agenda. So that's the biggest thing that kind of varies for this board. Other than that, their bylaws are fairly straightforward, kind of following the boilerplate bylaw template. So I think that everything else looks fine with this board's bylaws.
Great, thank you.
Oh boy, I got stuck trying to look for item 7 and then I'm lost in Civic Clerk. My computer's, I'm going to,
4 and 5.
what, is it 4 and 5? Okay,
Yep,
I'm
yep.
looking at the board approved 4 and 5.
All right, all in favor.
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks so much.
Thanks, Lori.
Thank you both.
Andrew, we're going to talk about build.
Yes, we are. You may remember I came to a number, maybe 4 weeks ago, asking to segregate $500,000 for build. I'm going to turn it over to the subject matter expert, Shane Stack, to explain why we segregated that $500,000, and then I'll come back and tell you how we're going to pay for it.
Great, thank you.
Yeah, so commissioners, we've probably discussed in the past that we were actually going to try to build the infrastructure this past summer, but as we got closer to the time that we had planned on beginning construction, the prices that we were receiving from contractors was significantly higher, and probably to the tune of $3 to $4 million more than we had expected. And so part of that was due to, I think, the timing related to COVID, timing related to the time of the year when all the contractors already had work for that summer, right? So, we're looking at, May as a time when we're trying to get those prices, and everybody had work, so they were giving us really high prices. So we plan to essentially relet that work this winter when contractors have a free schedule that following summer. So we do expect better pricing related to just the timing, but there's still some risk there related to COVID and just the lack of manpower and things like that we're experiencing. So I had asked Andrew if there's any additional funding that we might have available in the event that these prices come in just a touch more than we had budgeted, and if so, then we would have some funding available to utilize to get us over the hump, if you will. So really what this is almost just sort of like some contingency funding, worst case scenario stuff, hopefully.
So what we did is we segregated $500,000 of CARES Act money just to put in a pot so that Shane could access it if needed. If we need that cash for the health department or some other reason to fund COVID, the fight against COVID, or if Shane draws it down, this reimbursement resolution that I'm asking you to adopt today would allow the county to reimburse itself from a future debt issuance. So if we need the cash, we can get it back. If we feel we can let go of it, we can do that. It just provides options.
It's kind of a line of credit with ourselves.
Exactly. So I'd ask you to approve the reimbursement resolution for the Mullen Build project.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you for creating this.
Sure.
I move that the board approve the reimbursement resolution for Mullen Build project.
All in favor.
Aye.
Aye. And thanks for problem solving, Andrew, and we totally understand the difficulty in getting major construction projects accomplished in a timely way and in this current climate.
Yeah, it's been difficult. I've got the next two, and they sort of fall together. One is for the purchase of item 7 is for the purchase of radios for the sheriff's vehicles. Last year we bought $500,000 worth of handheld radios. Now we need the radios for the vehicles themselves, and it ties together with the overall communications project in item 8. And there's a reimbursement resolution that covers both the communication systems and the sheriff's vehicles. I can say that the sheriff's vehicles, we did get special pricing, piggybacking on the city's contract negotiations. We're getting a $65,700 discount, plus we're getting free P25 trunking, which allows the radios to use the state radio system, and 800 megahertz operation. And I will turn it over to another subject matter expert, Adrian Beck, to explain the rest of the deal. Then I'll come back, tell you how
If you're looking for a subject matter expert, I probably should get our communications coordinator on here. But essentially, this is a necessity as we look to transition our holistic public safety radio infrastructure across the county and within the city to ensure that all of our agencies can communicate with each other. And so, as Andrew just described, these new radios are of a similar capability of the portable radios that were just purchased for the sheriff's office, and being able to take advantage of some end-of-year pricing within the manufacturer is really the necessity to purchase right now. But it will be a technology that will be capable with our next iteration of public safety radio.
And Adrian, could you speak to number 8 as well, the communication systems, the 3.2 million for the immediate fix?
Right. So we are in the process right now of kind of putting a lot of puzzle pieces together as we begin to replace our out-of-date, end-of-life radio public safety communications systems, not only at the mountaintop sites, but also within the dispatch center and the actual devices that are utilized by our public safety agencies. And so as we begin that process, we can't do it all at once. We're going to need to do it over time. And so this reimbursement resolution allows us to make some of the necessary purchases that we need to do today, but also come up with our funding strategy and mechanisms for what we need to fund for the entire project. And so being able to go back and recoup those costs as a holistic project cost is really beneficial to us.
Adrian, you stole my thunder on the reimbursement resolution, but yeah.
Oh, that's what you asked me to talk about, sorry.
I'm asking that we amend the budget and approve the purchase of the sheriff's radios with item 7, and then approve a reimbursement resolution that would cover both the communication systems and the sheriff's radio.
Okay, and Andrew, I mean, with budget amendments, I mean, there's like a tally of this, right? I mean, how do we keep track of this throughout the year? And like, do we get the alarm that goes off when we reach a danger threshold of amendments?
Yeah, I've got a meeting scheduled in November that give you an update as to exactly where we are at this point in the year. I promised you quarterly updates on that, and I will be doing that. So, and the budget amendment isn't attached to this agenda. It normally comes from Amanda, and she's been quite ill lately, so I chose not to bother her. But we'll get it on your regular Thursday agenda.
Okay, great, thanks.
Great. Thanks. I look forward to that quarterly update.
You bet.
All right, so 7 and 8.
Yeah, I motion that the board approve the amend the budget and approve the purchase of radios for sheriff's office, and request that the board approve the reimbursement resolution.
Great, thanks. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Andrew.
Thank you.
And Andrew.
Yeah, so Jordan and our housing.
Yes, good morning. Thank you for having me. So I'm just here with a contract amendment for our contract with our consultants at Echo Northwest. And so this is an amendment to the scope of work and the compensation for them. And this relates to our move to pursue this as an issue amendment to the growth policy. So, as part of the process, we put together that steering committee, and we gave them some options about how they would want to see this plan adopted, and whether they'd want something kind of informal or it to be an actual issue plan on the growth policy. And they felt really strongly, they had strong consensus that the issue plan was the way to go. So that involves a little additional process. It's going to take slightly longer, and it has a couple of extra presentations from Echo Northwest. We need a little technical assistance from them as public comment comes in, and then it has some requirements to make the report like a little more visually appealing and accessible to be similar in style to the other issue plans that are attached to the growth policy. And then for that bit of extra work from them and slightly longer time frame, they quoted us additional $6,855. So the total compensation for their services would go from $30,000 even to $36,855.
We're in it. I want to get it done. Yeah.
So I would ask, and thanks for bearing with me. This is my first one of these, so I would just ask that you approve that contract amendment.
Absolutely. Josh is frozen on my screen.
Am I still frozen?
You are, but we can hear you.
Okay. I can see.
Yep, there we go. I move that we approve the amendment for professional services agreement between Missoula County and Eco Northwest.
All right, all in favor?
To this getting completed.
Great.
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Jordan.
Thank you. See you soon.
Kelly.
Hello. I am here to present items 10 and 11 to you. 12 is postponed, so we won't be doing that one this week. So I'm going to present the grant award acceptance documents for two grants. One is from the Montana Board of Crime Control VAWA grant. VAWA stands for Violence Against Women Act, and those are federal funds passed down through the state. And the other is the Rural Program Grant from the Department of Justice Office on Violence Against Women. The first one is $40,000. That's not the exact number. It's near $40,000 for 15 months. The second grant is $950,000 over 3 years. VAWA will fund half of the Just Response Coordinator position. Erin Schroeder, this used to be Jenny Daniel, and Erin just took over that position, working to coordinate the justice system to improve our response to domestic violence, sexual violence, stalking, human trafficking, and child abuse. And the rural grant will fund a range of different services, including crime victim advocacy, legal representation, financial assistance for rural victims of violence, community education, guts groups offered by the YWCA, a trauma-informed parenting support group in Seeley Lake, and access to $10,000 in training funds for professionals. So I would ask that you approve the acceptance of both grant awards.
Absolutely.
These are items 10 and 11.
Yes.
Okay, because I thought it just sounded like you were talking about the rural one, which was item 12. Did I mess that up?
10, the VAWA is the first one for the Violence Against Women's Act grant.
Oh, I see. Rural's just involved with both. Never mind. With both 11 and 12. We're good at 10 and 11.
Okay, and then is there what's the definition of rural for 11?
Oh, that's a great question. So this has changed over the years, right? They changed their definition. But currently it looks like, I believe it's about 10 miles outside the city limits. So most of the county is rural outside the city, except for like Target Range, Hellgate, those areas.
So Target
Sorry, Hellgate Elementary is what I meant.
are not included in item 11.
Mm-hmm. But it does cover most of the county, and that grant also serves Mineral County.
Oh, I didn't realize that. Okay, great. I motion that the chair, or that the board approve and the chair sign items 10 and 11.
Great, thanks, Kelly. And all in favor? Say
Aye.
Aye. Great, thanks a
you.
lot.
Commissioners, I'd just like to take a moment to recognize Kelly for her work on this. This is this $950,000 grant is pretty extraordinary, and it's a direct reflection of Kelly's hard work and her incredible efforts. So I just want to give a shout out to Kelly on this one.
Well done, and thank you. Thanks, Kelly.
Thank you, Ann.
All right, Eric.
All right, good morning. So the agreement that we have today is for the Beckwith Street Railroad crossing out in Frenchtown. This is an issue that we've been dealing with for probably 15 years. When they upgraded the crossing out there to include the active crossing with gate arms, they put the control shack on the outside of the curve. And I've heard over the years that that's about an $80,000 piece of equipment. And so when they put it on the outside of the curve, it was in kind of direct line of people that missed that curve. So the solution was to install concrete barriers and then jersey or a standard W-beam guardrail in front of that to protect it. Well, as soon as we did that, then it became a maintenance problem for us because we quit counting how many times we've had to go out there to replace the guardrail or reset the concrete barriers. So MDT and MRL have been looking at it for a few years, and we have this agreement now that they will relocate the signal shack to the inside of the curve. MRL decided they have enough room to fit it between the road and the tracks. So this is a standard tri-party agreement that we really don't have a lot of influence on what our responsibilities are, but it's a definite benefit to us and will eliminate a lot of maintenance problems for us, and I think will just be a safer condition to not have fixed objects on the outside of the curve where we know that people are missing the curve. So they'll have a relatively level area to run out on if they miss the curve. So you know, with this agreement, again, we don't have a lot of flexibility in what we can say we want to do. So we would recommend that this be signed so that we can move forward with moving that signal shack.
Why did it take so long?
I don't know.
It's just wild.
Yeah, I think it's a funding thing. Like I said, it's, you know, the shack itself is about $80,000. So then to do all the work necessary to relocate it, I just think was something that they were willing to live with the existing conditions since we did have protection in place. So it wasn't really a threat, but now that maybe some other higher priority projects have been taken care of, then this is one that is just a beneficial project.
Yeah. Okay, thank you. I motion that the board approve and the chair sign the grade crossing signal tri-party agreement. And in the future, let's not put things on the outside.
All right, I like it. Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
All right. Thanks, Eric. I feel like I've been hearing about this since I started here.
Yeah, we're glad to take care of it.
All right, Adrian.
Well, I guess it's bylaw day. So what I have before you is the local emergency planning committee bylaws requires BCC approval at the October meeting. We meet quarterly. The committee did unanimously approve the bylaws as written. This is really kind of a housekeeping item. This was done back in 2019, but through whatever process is probably my fault. We didn't get it all the way through the system. And so we had them reapprove them at our October meeting and just need BCC signature.
Great. Well, unanimous approval sounds pretty good.
I motion that the board approve the Missoula Local Emergency Planning Committee bylaws.
Excellent. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye,
Thank you.
thanks. So I imagine this is a Chris item.
Good morning,
15 and
Commissioners.
16.
Yes, I have the next couple of
17.
items here are, oh, sorry, Josh.
15, 16, 17, I imagine.
15, 16, and 17, yes. So the next three are standard PHC employment contracts. Just as a reminder for everyone, Partnership Health Center is funded through some federal grants through Medicare and Medicaid, as well as a sliding fee schedule. So these are not property tax dollars that support these salaries for providers and for their staff there. So the first one is an amendment to the executive director's contract. This was approved by the Partnership Health Board. This is kind of a unique one where the executive director is technically a county employee, but does not work for the Board of County Commissioners. They actually work for the Executive Board of Partnership. So they're the ones who signed this agreement, but you do countersign that as well. And then the next two items are just standard continuation of existing employment agreements with existing providers at Partnership that also include new rates.
Wonderful. Thanks.
Yeah.
I feel like we've seen Molly Quinn's name a lot.
I know. She must have changed things around a couple times.
Yes, so we signed, you signed an original agreement with her, and then there have been some adjustments to her hours as things have continued to grow and expand their partnership, especially with their COVID response and stuff. Molly's taken on some more and greater duties as well as some hours to kind of fit in there. So,
okay.
Great. Thank you. Well, I guess I motion the board approve items 15, 16, and 17.
Great, thanks. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks so much.
Thank you,
Chris.
Commissioners.
Okay, Kyla.
Hey, Commissioners, I have a few board movement appointments. We had some board shuffling. So the first one is for the Airport Authority Board. As you know, Dory Brownlow, County Employee Representative, retired from Missoula County as of June 30th, 2021. Her term expires December 31st, 2021. Missoula County employee Shane Stack currently serves as a citizen regular member term and is qualified to transition to the county employee representative term. So the following motions would be effective January 1st, 2022. The request the board appoint Shane Stack as a county employee representative to a new 5-year term as of January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2026. And then we would move the alternates up. So request we appoint first alternate Winton Chemist as a regular member, filling the regular remaining term through December 31st, 2025. And that would request that we move the second alternate, Patrick Boyle, to the first alternate position, filling the remainder of that term through December 31st, 2025.
Yeah, and the board's complete now, correct? Or is there still an opening?
There will be an alternate position open basically once these take effect in January, but we'll be opening up applications for the end of December expiring terms. So we'll be advertising for that in the next month or so.
Okay. Great.
Okay.
Well,
thanks.
Glad Shane Stack is able to serve. Motion that the board appoint the following members to the Airport Authority Board.
All right, I'll second that. All in favor?
Aye.
Thanks. It's good for us, good for Shane, and good for the airport.
So the next one is also me. It's for the Larchmont Golf Course Board. Again, just movement of boards. We had Michael Frederickson, a board member, pass away April 12th, 2021, leaving the remainder of his term vacant through December 31st, 2022. So we request that the board appoint first alternate Carol Wecken as a regular member, filling the remainder of the vacant term through December 31st, 2022. And we request the board appoint the second alternate Dan Adcock to the first alternate, filling the remainder of the vacant term through December 31st, 2021. and to be reappointed to a new 3-year term of January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024. Just with the short time frame, we just wanted to go ahead and move him into a full seat is the reason behind that.
Great. They're both fantastic. So I move that the board appoint Carol Wicken and Dan Addick to the Health.
Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Thanks, Kyla.
And last but not least, I have one more for the Weed Control Board. We've had 2 vacant alternate positions. We did have a new applicant, Layla Airbar. So the request would be to appoint Layla as an alternate, filling the remainder of the vacant term through December 31st, 2021, and to be reappointed to a new 3-year term of January 1st, 2022 through December 31st, 2024 to the Weed Control Board. I will also note I talked to Bryce Christians with the Weed and Control District with Extension Office, and he agreed that she would be a good applicant and a good addition to the board.
Great. I move that the board appoint Layla Arabar to the Weed Control Board.
Excellent. All right. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thanks,
Thanks,
Commissioners.
Kyla.
Thanks, Kyla.
All right. We have some correspondence.
Hello, I think the first one is me, fellow commissioners. I'm Mel Fisher, the Strategic Initiatives Manager in the Commissioner's Office. What we have is a letter to Senators Daines and Senator Tester regarding the potential acquisition of the federal building. It's a joint letter from the city and the county. It's kind of keeping that project on their radar and asking that they seek opportunities during appropriations for the next fiscal year to potentially help with the historic preservation and rehabilitation of the building.
Good. Thanks. We're glad to be sending this letter.
Excellent. Thank you.
Thanks so much, Mel. Is this really the first letter that we've sent to them on this?
Since my involvement in the project, it is the first formal letter that we've sent.
Wow.
Well, it's come up in our conversations with them, but
Okay.
it's going to be the first formal letter.
Thank you.
Sure thing. Thank you.
We have another letter around behavioral health.
Yeah. Sarah, there we go. Sarah's hopped on.
Yes, hi. This is in regards to the social work licensing requirements. So earlier this year, the Board of Behavioral Health had put into administrative rule licensing requirements for bachelor's prepared social workers. So that was new. We were led to believe that there would be sort of a case-by-case assessment and a cutoff date that current social workers wouldn't necessarily have to sit for an exam or have clinical supervision when they've been practicing as a social worker for previous years. That has not unfolded to what we thought was going to happen. And now the administrative rules that were previously approved and implemented are open for public comment. And so there was a hearing yesterday and public comment goes through tomorrow. We were taking this opportunity to provide public comment to ask the board to consider a grandfather clause for those social workers who do otherwise meet the requirements of licensure to not have to sit for that exam and have the clinical supervision hours and still be able to get licensed. So it's providing some support for social workers here at the health department as well as Partnership Health Center.
Okay. And social workers who work in other places too, who would love to not have to take a test to keep doing the work they'd already been doing.
Absolutely. And going forward, that could be the expectation for new graduates and they'd be prepared for that. But
Sure.
if you've been a social worker for 20 years, that seems like other occupations have allowed for grandfather clauses, such as physical therapists and registered dietitians who will be moving to a master's requirement in a couple of years. They've already identified what that will look like. And so we're asking them to consider doing something similar.
Great.
Fantastic. Anything we can do to support. Yes.
Yeah. So thank you for supporting with our letter.
Sure. All right. In terms of discussion items, I believe Dave Bell is going to be talking to us about this one, but I could have that wrong.
Good morning, commissioners. Yeah, I'm here with Aaron.
No.
So, as we've met before, I'm the chair of the Missoula Human Trafficking Task Force, and Aaron's my boss, my go-to now, and I appreciate working with her the last couple of weeks. So, I'm just going to put a pause here. If anybody's viewing this in the future online, this is some pretty difficult content to listen to. So if you're a minor, please pause it and check in with your parents or guardian. So that said, we're talking about the Erna Act. It's Eliminating Abusive and Rampant Neglect of Interactive Technologies Act. It was passed by the Senate Judiciary Committee July of 2020. And it is now needs to be considered by the full Senate. In a nutshell, and I'm going to read here from endexploitationmontana.org, and this is a connection made in the last few weeks. The director there, Aaron Walker, sent me a bunch of go-to links that you can refer to in the future. So in a nutshell, the Erna Act makes interactive computer services liable for the child sexual abuse material content on their platforms. In other words, big tech is finally going to be held responsible for their longstanding inaction to child sexual abuse material content they harbor and often profit from. Plus, it creates a new online child exploitation prevention commission charged with establishing best business practices for interactive computer services to prevent, reduce, and respond to online sexual exploitation of children, including grooming and sex trafficking. And I've read this a bunch of times and out loud, and my blood boils every time I go to think and talk about this. What we're talking about is some serious stuff that's readily available online now. There's a million red flags waving here. It's highly pornographic images of children who do not have a voice or say in them being photographed, and their image traded on platforms that we enjoy to share the best of life. So Aaron and I talked a little bit briefly, if you want to jump here at all, Aaron. And I also wanted to check in to see if there was a lobbyist, and I appreciate Chris getting me on this agenda, if there's a lobbyist listening in.
So Dave or Aaron, where's this bill at right now?
So this is the time to start talking about it with Governor Gianforte and Representative Rosendale and Senator Tester and Daines. It's time to put some Montana muscle behind this and really highlight the dramatic presence of child sexual abuse material that's easily available right now. So as far as where it is, I'm new to this, and looking at how things get positioned, all I'm told is that, from Aaron Walker with Exploitation Montana, that the time is now to reach out and say, we support this. This has the support of the lifeguard group here and every other task force member that I've had a chance to talk to in the last few weeks, including our previous chair, Kat Warner. It is also extremely supported by the National Center for Missing and Exploited Children. So it feels like one of those no-brainer things. So that's kind of where I'm at, is being asked to support this, but I'd like the full support of the county and any other officials that want to jump in.
Great. And Erin, do you have anything to add?
Not really. I took the Just Response Coordinator position at the end of September. So Dave has kind of got me up to date on the human trafficking piece. In my advocate work, I did do several things like undercover with the FBI during doing human trafficking stuff. But I haven't really followed the Erna Act or anything along those lines. So I'm still trying to get caught up on all of it. I think the biggest issue is going to be funding for it on like the federal government piece.
What's the funding component? And this is really new to me, so forgive me if I get it wrong. It sounds like what we would be doing is holding these tech companies far more responsible for what's on their platform.
Correct.
So is the funding that the federal government would have to hire folks to do more monitoring or do that prosecution?
That is my understanding of it, that the funding would need to be people moderating it, prosecuting it, but on a quicker scale. I think, of course, most people are against this, but when you get down to it, you only have so much manpower with NCMEC and FBI and that, and so you're getting all these tips, but no one's able to handle them all, and so it takes a long time. Dave and I read a really good article in the New York Times about it, which was actually pretty eye-opening and a good kind of foundation for me.
I read that article too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's pretty rough.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was a really, really hard article. But I think that kind of speaks to the funding issue.
And I think part of it right now is forming this commission. I think it's of 19 people. It includes well-seasoned law enforcement that can give input and bring this conversation to a national level with big tech. And this commission that would be established because of the Erna Act would also include the opportunity for survivors to jump in this conversation. There's, in a week's time, I've digested a lot of information on this. But I think the one thing is not looking at the consequences of creating or passing this, but the consequences of not right now. We need to keep the conversation going, and I think the commission would do that. So that's the biggest takeaway from passing this for me.
Oh, sorry, Josh, go ahead.
Oh, it doesn't seem very controversial from our standpoint. Like we should just be doing this, but
yeah.
And the next steps, or what does the Missoula County Board of Commissioners do?
How can we help?
Well, I'll draft a letter of support that we could send out to our representatives, and if by chance we do have a lobbyist that is in the know on this and wants to team up with what lifeguard group, their lobbyists or whoever they're talking to. I've had a chance to go into a long discussion with Lowell on this, but I know that they fully support this, and along with the Aaron Walker and who's out there. I don't know how the whole process works. Just putting some more muscle behind it and saying that as task force and as a county, we think this is a really good idea to help. So I can draft that letter.
Dave, do you know what the response is from the tech companies?
Well, they don't want to be liable. They don't want to have this conversation. There's a lot of the end-to-end encryption piece. So we wouldn't put up for this if there was a group of people meeting at the public library to trade sexual images of infants and toddlers, just in the lobby, passing it back and forth. But that's hidden online. So what I see this act and being supportive of it is continuing the conversation in partnering with the nation, who is trying to fight and protect kids that cannot speak for themselves. So,
Sorry, Dave. I did listen to just a short podcast from an attorney, a law school professor, I think at UCLA, and his argument is that it's all images will then start getting looked at, and so it's an invasion of your privacy. I don't know where that stands or what that.
Yeah, and I think that's something to be discussed by the commission that would be formed through this Erna Act, and how. But the reality is that there's so much imagery that they have to look at it in terms of age when for law enforcement. Like, we'll look at, toddlers to 5-year-olds. We don't have the time for above that. I think that our New York Times article kind of highlighted that. I feel like it's just about giving more tools. There's certainly going to be that argument along the way. And there's a lot of different ways to look at that. And I can send you some tips on how to talk to that, talk on that. I haven't heard anything in town that screaming, don't support this. So.
Great. So you'll send us something?
A draft letter.
Yeah, I'll draft it up within the week.
Okay, great. Thank you.
Thank you. Thanks for working on this. Thanks, Aaron.
Yeah, thanks for Chris for getting us on.
Oh, is there someone? Oh, raising a hand. Eric Dixon.
Yeah, sorry if that discussion was over, sound like we were trying to wind down, but
we're good.
Okay, I was wondering if I might take a brief minute to update you on Maclay Bridge.
Yeah, thank you.
I know it wasn't a discussion item that was scheduled today, but it's kind of come up here in the past couple of hours that I believe we may end up extending our closure through the weekend.
Okay.
The bridge work went fine, is completed. Well, not complete. We're going to get the asphalt surfacing back on today, but the problem comes from trying to repair the abutment side. The concrete abutment that was there was not as sound as we thought it would be. So while we were removing asphalt, some of the concrete came off, and we're going to have to do some additional work in order to get that anchor back in place for the asphalt on the River Pines Road side. So I'm going to head out there from here and make sure that is still the case, but I think we're going to have to do some concrete work this afternoon that will require curing through the weekend before we can finish the asphalt work on the approach. So I just wanted to bring that potential closure to your attention, so that when we start sending out those updates to the social media and maybe another press release, if I can work that out with Allison, but just so you know where that's coming from.
Okay.
Thanks.
Thank you. Yeah, and that's still within the time frame that you were planning on working in.
Well, we planned on opening it up by the latest tomorrow, so we didn't really count on the extra concrete work on the approach side of things.
Oh, that's a couple more days. Do it right.
Yeah, exactly. In
Okay.
the grand scheme of things, a few days isn't a big deal.
Great. Thank you.
Yeah, thanks for letting us know. This is something people really are worked up about. So glad to get from you.
Yeah, we'll get it taken care of.
Thanks.
Thank you.
Okay, we are at 11 o'clock, and I don't believe we have anything. So best be adjourned and get to our next thing. Thanks, everybody who came today and participated.
Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.